Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's live recordings. We are recording Arc 6, Chapters 25 to 26 with the cast. Thank you all so much for being here today. You guys have been so excited from the get-go, so thank you. Thank you for the delay as well. Some of our casters were feeling a little under the weather, so we were just seeing if we could give them a few minutes, but we are good. Quick thing, I pinned it in the comments. I'm being a little greedy today and asking if you would be willing to help. My class is reading Sunrise on the Reaping. Since it's a newer book, my district can't get it. So if you would like to help us get a few more class copies, I think I'm missing like 6 or 7 more. If you want to donate one of the books to me, you can click on the link that's pinned. It's to my Amazon storefront, and then it just mails me a book to my students. If you want to leave a quote behind for me to put in with the dedication that you paid for the book, I would love that. Yeah, once that's met, that'd be awesome. We start this week, so thank you guys so much for that. Also, we still have our Arc 7 auditions live for you guys. You can click on the video. I'll add it into the description later because I got to fix all these descriptions. I forgot to do that. Whoops. So yeah, we're still auditioning for Arc 7. You have till June 27th at 3 p.m. EST. You can audition through email or through Casting Call Club. So we'd love to have you on board. If you'd like to join us, you can record live with us or pre-recorded. Any level of voice actor is welcome, as long as you love ReZero or at least are interested. That is perfect. Without further ado, let's get the cast on here, and let's hope that Discord will actually let me do it properly this time. Ah! There we go.
For table manners,
right.
I guess.
Ah! The audio works. Hello, everybody.
Yay!
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. All right. As always, we'll introduce ourselves top to bottom of the list. Al, you can get us started.
Hello, everyone. I am Al. I am now completely out of the basement. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yay! Well, you're voicing someone today.
Yeah, exactly. I'm completely out of the basement for now.
For now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Connor. I'm the voice of Julius and other random assorted characters, and one of the hosts of your ReZero podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Woohoo!
Hello, I am Carmen, one of the editors, as well as the voice of Gluttony, and for tonight, our lovely Maylee.
I'm Kyles. I am your Amelia. I am also covering for Shala and Anastasia, as well as one of the witches briefly. Woo! And I run the show.
My name is Skura. I'm here to be filling in any gaps that appear.
Hello all, I am Tealdi. I am your stand-in Betty, and I will be narrating chapter 26 today, and also doing a little witch voice.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, Wolf here. I'm your Subaru, and I'm also a host of the ReZero podcast.
Putchy, putchy, putchy!
You can't hear it, but I clapped.
Also, thank you, Greenie, for the donation. I will put it in our goal that I have to fix up because it kept glitching. But I'll add that. Thank you so much. And thanks, Maddie, for being a member for 22 months. That's kind of crazy.
Driving.
Number one
Rookie
mod.
numbers, Maddie.
Rookie numbers? Yeah, compared to how long you've been subscribed to me. Psh. Alrighty. We have an interesting set of chapters here for you today, and a very interesting character we're meeting.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be
That's generous.
spicy. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Is this one of the first days? We just jump in?
I don't see why not. I don't think
Yeah.
we're waiting on anyone.
Do it.
A little update on the podcast. I just have not had the chance to edit it yet. But you will be getting Arc 9 Phase 2 as soon as I get a moment. Probably tomorrow, I hope. And then Arc 6. I'm really sorry about that. This last few weeks of school has been crazy.
Yeah, we can put you in Al's spot in the basement and give you space to work like they do for George R. R. Martin.
Damn. My own
Please
basement?
write it!
I could work in my own basement? I already do!
I imagine like George's publishers like, please, it prints us money.
You know
Why
what?
do you hate
Yeah, that's
printing
why I had to clear
money?
out.
It's almost summer vacation. I will not leave the basement. You will have constant content from Studio Reverie. I hope.
Huzzah.
Huzzah!
Hopefully.
Yay.
Maybe. Possibly.
Yay.
Also, auditions are still up. Go audition, please.
Yeah, audition,
Please.
please.
Yes.
If you have a femme voice, we love women. We need women. We need femme voices.
True. True.
You know,
True.
Thank you all for
Where
our
the
mass
women at?
auditions, but we need femme auditions too.
It is official here at Studio Reverie. We do love women.
We do. Tape does. We do. Join us. I swear, it's not scary.
It's okay.
If it helps, this thing's run by a woman. So any of our femme presenting audience, do not be afraid.
One of us.
One of us.
One of us.
Whoa.
All right. Indoctrination
I sup-
aside.
Yes. I suppose without further ado, we can jump in.
Yes, Connor, you take us away first. Hi, hi.
Arc 6, Chapter 25. The Man Who Waits on the Second Floor, Electra. A woman, a soul woman, existed. Oppressed was the woman, by her family, her clan, by her race who should have loved her. All saw her with disdain. All ostracized her. Prior to being born, expectations were laid upon that woman. Alas, her birth turned her traitor to them. What remained was dejection and disappointment. What was bestowed upon her was only scorn and ridicule. Those were the sole possessions of the woman. There existed a dearest wish of her clan, to bring back the symbol of their former glory and prosperity, the second coming of the founder whom they labeled their god. All kinds of secret arts and all types of inhumane atrocities, unfathomable, the number of taboos committed, all their fruits amounted to the woman. However, the birth of that woman betrayed their dearest wish, and the clan abandoned the woman with disappointment and despair.
Go somewhere, live and die, for that is your sin.
Abandoned by her family, by her race, she was released into the fields as a child. Cast away with no means of survival, the child was not supposed to survive. However, even if she lacked means of survival, she possessed the strength to survive. Ironically enough, it was the feast of what betrayed the dearest wish of the clan, the taboos and offenses they had committed. Unknown to words, lacking all wisdom, merely abiding by her instincts, the woman survived to live a long life in the fields. Killing beasts, sipping on their lifeblood, crawling on the earth, tasting muddy water. Before a long time passed, the child became a young girl, the young girl became a woman, and it became difficult to live in the fields. Hearing the rumors of a woman laying waste to the mountains as if she were a beast, men aimed for that life, and the woman was captured. The captured woman appeared beautiful. The men abstained from taking away her life, and consequently, the woman was kept by them. While becoming compliant towards the men, gradually the woman's consciousness descended onto a human environment from the fields. Losing the indispensability of struggling to survive exposed the desires of the men, days of merely living. Eventually the woman, upon the bed, came to acquire things unacquainted from the men. Words, wisdom, way of life, and emotions. Eventually her treatment altered, conferred with things to adorn her body. The woman was treated like a precious jewel. Among those days, women embraced queer thoughts for the men. Whether that was something resembling gratitude or obligation, the woman then had no lead to understand that. While embracing those thoughts, the woman snapped the necks of all the men dwelling in the residence. Easily, in one breath, without making them suffer, in an instant, grouping them all together, she consigned them to oblivion. Sneaking away from the residence, proceeding towards the fields, lacking all doubt, the woman returned to her own hometown. The woman attained queer thoughts regarding the race residing there, the clan possessing the same blood as her, the people who had bodies distantly larger than hers. That they were feelings of hatred and desire for revenge, the woman did not realize. Merely, their weeps and wails, voices begging for forgiveness, were quite thrilling. For the first time, the woman smiled from the bottom of her heart.
Fall out here and die an unsightly death, because that is your sin, you see.
For the sake of attaining that felicity, from one after the other, the woman pulverized the dearest wish of her race, her blood relatives, her clan, by herself. Politely and courteously, not leaving a single one, not sparing a single one, taking her time, one by one, with certainty. Before long, once her race had died out, once anything and everything had come to an end, the woman returned to the residence where she had lived with the men. Though she had abandoned the corpses of her race, she buried all the corpses of the men courteously. And once she was alone in the residence, the woman took a deep, deep breath. That was relaxation, tranquility. The woman, for the first time, experienced utter bliss. Nobody would interfere with her now. Thinking and taking action both lay in futility, so she would merely fall asleep. The Witch of Sloth continued to indulge in everlasting inactivity, untiring peace. The stairway that led to the second floor Electra ought to be called the Grand Stairway, because of its grand presence. Compared to the spiral staircase used to get to the 6th floor to the 5th floor, and furthermore to the 4th, the Grand Stairway was much wider and much, much longer. As it took the same space of an entire room, the intimidating feel it gave off was a given. What was supposed to be an empty room was now the Great Stairway. With it in front, Subaru folded his arms and sighed. Then,
It kind of feels like it's been a long time since we last came here.
We just found the stairway. What's wrong all of a sudden?
Amelia's eyes widened with surprise at Subaru's remark. Subaru shook his head, signaling no, and turned to his companions, with whom he had experienced the general nastiness the creator of the tower gave off. He recollected a bit of peace at the sight of their unchanged faces.
Drew, why are you wrapping your fingers around Betty's, I suppose?
Kinda want it to feel like I'm really here. I'm good. My bad.
Faced with a rising suspicion in her face, Subaru forced a smile at Beatrice, but still kept her hand in his. Then he turned around and pointed to the grand stairway behind them.
Now then, getting back on track. The grand stairway was always here, and no one just really noticed. It's not what the case is here, right?
I believe it is quite unthinkable to have not noticed such an obvious spectacle. However, if it were to be limited to only this room, then I cannot deny that possibility.
Say what?
A sense of incongruity while exploring, huh? Yeah, I get that.
Taking Subaru's doubt in stride, the master-vassal duo of Anastasia and Julius nodded in agreement. Seeing that, Subaru tilted his head slightly, while Amelia raised her hand with a yes.
About back when Subaru was still sleeping, we all gathered to the 4th floor. Rem and Patricia were resting in the green room, and we were challenging the puzzle on the 3rd floor. So we were walking around to see where we could put our luggage.
All unconsciously avoiding this room, in fact. Looking back,
Perhaps there was something akin to cognitive disruption keeping us away from it? Is that what you're saying?
What Amelia started was continued by Beatrice, while Subaru brought it to its conclusion. Both Amelia and Beatrice nodded to that theory, and Anastasia and Julius agreed to it. Once the grand stairway was discovered, everyone thought about the room and noticed the cognitive disruption. If that were the case, then maybe the grand stairway was always present in the room, and there was some kind of magic that camouflaged it, so it could not be noticed.
Well, if not for that, when we finished solving the slab puzzle of the 3rd floor, if there was anyone in this room, they might have gotten flattened by the sudden appearance of the stairs.
Subaru, it is not a slab, but a monolith. Let us refer to it the same way. I would like to avoid confusion.
Monolith! 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 Satisfied? Let's continue.
Although Julius looked dissatisfied with Subaru's apathetic response, Subaru was fed up with it, so he ignored him. He turned to the two who had not taken part in the conversation till now. Shala, who was playing around beside the stairway, and Meili, who was on her back.
Something up, Master? Gonna be my turn? It's my turn to be useful? I'll do anything for my master. I'll even become your co-signer.
You don't even get what you're saying at all, do you? That's not something you should just become, even if it's your mum, dad, sibling, or even friend telling you to do it. Just in case, I'll ask, so About this staircase? Did you know?
Definitely. I've been living here for hundreds of years now, but this is the first time I'm seeing these stairs.
Really? It's fine to play around. Pull on the scorpion tail. Hard.
I'll do it even if you don't tell me, Oni-san.
Ah, it hurts! It hurts! It hurts!
As usual, Shala was useless when it came to conquering the tower. Leaving it to Meili to punish her accordingly, Subaru looked up at the grand stairway again. Unlike the pair that led up to the 4th floor, the great stairway was not spiral-shaped. Normally, a stairway would be a singular path leading up to the next floor. However, for this particular one to cross to the 3rd floor and lead directly to the 2nd was something that would look weird for the tower given its shape. One would think that, subsequently, the structure would cause the floor to protrude outside the tower.
Maybe it's making up for that using the power of mystery?
Or maybe it just looks like it leads up to the 2nd floor, but it goes to a completely different place. Would that be too mean?
I'm scared that Amelia Tan's pureness will get tainted by the tower's creator's awful personality. I want to conquer this place faster.
Hmm?
Amelia tilted her head to the side, not quite understanding. However, it was Amelia who found the great stairway, and it was also her who uncovered an important hint in solving the mystery of the 3rd floor. The building called the Pleiades Watchtower, or rather Great Library Pleiades, had a number of very nasty gimmicks that reflected the designer's personality. While being very reliable with her solving obstacles one after another, Subaru, who wanted to spend his days in peace with her, worried that her personality might get twisted because of this.
Saying that, our pace has been pretty nice so far. I cleared the 3rd floor's examination on my first try, and we're already 1/3 done with conquering the tower. In under just 3 days, too.
How there was no progress in 400 years, this would be a great pace, I suppose.
It's pretty damn lit, thinking that way. But then, I'm the kind of amazing guy who's moving forward history that's been stalling for the past hundreds of years. As a history mover, my power words game is strong.
In the recent past, he had gathered the participants in the White Whale subjugation, crushed the witch cult Sin Archbishop of Sloth, and annihilated the Great Rabbit, helped partly in clearing the trials at the tomb of the Witch of Greed, defeated the Sin Archbishop of Greed, and, finally, set foot on the never-before-explored Pleiades Watchtower, cleared one of its never-before-examined examinations, and now on the way to challenging the 2nd of those examinations.
If I'm just listing all my achievements and skip the process, I'll only look like an idiot.
He had died several times to accomplish all that, so at the same time he could not exactly puff his chest. Despite that, history had indeed advanced a bit too far in the past year. He had not intended this, but at the very least, he had to settle things with the Sin Archbishops of Gluttony and Lust both, so the world better be prepared for it. Was how he felt about the matter.
What? What's up, Amelia Tan? Holding my hand suddenly. Something wrong?
No. It's just, I think Subaru should be a little bit nicer to himself.
Yeah, no, you'll have a hard time finding someone who's as soft on himself as me. It's enough with Amelia Tan and Bayako. Any more's just too much.
Rem would have added to that list whenever she woke up. She would be a bit strict, but kind nonetheless. And adding Petra, Patricia, Garfield, and even Otto to that would leave no room for Subaru to go easy on himself. Amelia's lips shook faintly, as if trying to search for some way to respond to him, but she only kept looking at Subaru, unable to find the words. The force in her grip on his hand was increasing ever so slightly. Subaru cocked his head. However,
At this point, I think here's a problem of the root of Natsuki-kun's being. It's not something that'll get better in a day or two. I suppose it depends on how Amelia-san goes about it, though.
breaking into the conversation with a clap of her hands, Anastasia sought a glance at Amelia. Amelia looked back, her expression earnest, but it seemed to not be the reaction that the former had intended, so.
My, I feel like there's very little hope for that. Not that it'd suit you. I don't think I understand, but if you show me how, I'll try my best. I'm afraid I'll have to refuse. I'm not too fond of getting kicked by a ground dragon.
Getting kicked by a ground dragon? I wonder if it means something like getting kicked by a horse.
Putting aside Garfield's weird phrases, Subaru added in a new phrase that might be common in this different world. In any case, for Subaru, that was not the end of the confusing info being thrown around in Amelia and Anastasia's conversation. At one point, he and Amelia both kept tilting their heads at every other line, to the point that Anastasia sighed and pointed to the great stairway.
Hey, when are we going to quit dawdling and move on up? Whatever's waiting might be harder on the third floor. Or maybe Natsuki-kun will end up clearing it right away.
To tell you the truth, if it's something annoying as the puzzle on the third floor, I'm not feeling too hot about it.
To be honest, the only reason Subaru had been able to clear the third floor Taigetta's examination was because knowledge about stars and constellations was critical to clearing it. Constellations. That too, knowledge from Subaru's original world, was required to solve the puzzle. In fact, Subaru believed that the constructor of this tower was from another world. Modern times at that too, just like him. In that respect, it was highly likely that the second floor's examination required modern knowledge as well, where Subaru's presence would prove useful, but...
Things might be different compared to the third floor. I mean, I can't do much if it's something I don't know. The name Flugel's Germanic, and I don't know much about Germany's history anyway.
A vague anxiety swirled in him, and he could not voice it, so to keep everyone's expectations, in both Amelia and Beatrice's eyes, Subaru was weak. Thus, he wanted to do whatever was possible by dragging out whatever little knowledge he had of Germany.
Can't help it. The stairs up are literally right in front. I can't call myself a man if I step back now. Let's just pop in there and breeze through the challenge.
Unfortunately, aside from you and I, there are only women here.
It's just a saying! Don't put a damper on it! You! Alright, let's go, Beiko!
It's doing the thing again. Hold on. Yeah, in fact.
Julius doused the burning spirit Subaru had in his clenched fist, but Subaru simply stuck his tongue out towards him, pulled Beatrice into his arms, and ran straight up the stairs.
Subaru, wait!
Seeing his enthusiastic jump up, Amelia clambered behind him, while Julius and Anastasia slumped their shoulders in unison and followed after.
Naked One-san, aren't you going?
Yap it with the naked already, ankle biter number 2. I'm properly clothed, you see? I've got an Iro Kawaii thing going on, see? Master chose this for me, so stop complaining about it.
I'm not really complaining, you know. Just hurry up. Come on, or we'll get left behind.
You really are bossy, even though you're just riding on my back, ankle biter. I'll tell on you to Master later. Actually, I just want to teach you some manners myself.
Shala put her foot on the stairs as she shook her reddened face, scorpion tail flailing about. With vigor unseeming for a person carrying someone on their back, she jumped from the first step of the great stairway to the 5th and kept running. Ignoring what was happening behind himself, Subaru kept on running up the stairs with Beatrice in his arms. In the middle of it, Beatrice had skillfully changed her position to that of a princess carry and narrowed her blue eyes at Subaru.
As I thought, there is something tweaking the sense of space here, I suppose. We haven't gotten out of the tower, even though we came so far in a straight line, in fact.
Maybe we couldn't just tell from the outside, but the tower might be really shaped like that too.
For just this one stairway to be jutting out? If that was so, then there needs to be something that makes the tower look tower-like. Otherwise, there was no point in hiding the stairway, in fact.
Yeah, I guess so. I just felt like saying it out loud.
Subaru sighed as he agreed with Beatrice's reasoning and looked overhead. Strangely enough, even though he was running up the stairs, the floor above seemed no closer than before. No matter how much he ran, it felt like he was going up using an escalator going down.
No way! To think that the harassment Emilia was talking about would actually happen.
That there was only a stairway prepared and actually did not connect to the second floor As Subaru gave this theory more thought, the space overhead opened up at the same time.
Ah!
Faced with a sudden bright light in the poorly lit stone-cut stairway, Subaru and Beatrice shouted at the same time. At some point, while continuously moving forward, the stairs had ended, and they had stepped onto a new floor, which was...
A white room. Again, huh?
I suppose.
He stopped and carefully put Beatrice down from the princess carry. It was a surprisingly long climb up the stairs. Despite his stamina having improved, he could not stop himself from crouching over his knees and breathing heavily. While stroking his back, Beatrice tapped the floor with the tip of her toe and looked around the room. Subaru gulped and did the same. To the two who had reached the top of the stairs first, the room was the spitting image of the third floor Taigetta's examination, a white expanse. A mysterious structure where both the floor and ceiling extended far beyond the reach of one's eye, and the basis of distance itself seemed to be skewed. No doubt the only reason this white space was registered as a place was the small open space on the ground with the stairs leading to the floor below, just like it had been on the third floor.
This room again?
And from that same open space with the stairs popped up Amelia and the others, all bearing similar reactions to the scenery of white, and all dropped their shoulders in dejection. It was obvious with the presentation that another examination was about to commence.
Any chance we just came to the third floor again by mistake?
I don't think so. There were 54 steps in the stairway between the fourth and the third floors, and this one here had 444 steps. That's almost 10 times more steps we needed to get here, right?
You were counting, Amelia Tan?
The truth is, counting the number of steps is my secret hobby I recently picked up. Why are you patting my head?
Subaru and the others took turns in patting Amelia's head after she boasted about her hobby. Even Julius and Maylie, who refrained from doing so, looked on with delicate pity.
It somehow feels really weird, you know?
We really couldn't have done it without Amelia Tan! Thanks to you, we know we've got up 10 times higher than the third floor. Kind of makes you think that we just jumped up to the first floor. I'd like to go with that, but for now, I think we should consider this the second floor.
The examination is supposed to begin, in fact. That over there might be how, I suppose.
Putting away Amelia's doubts for later, Subaru looked to where Beatrice pointed. Straight ahead from coming up the stairs, there was a spectacle that caught one's eye. On the third floor, Taigetta, there was something similar in the center of the room, and upon touching it, the examination would commence. If the case was the same for here as well, then... It's not a monolith, but... a sword? Narrowing his golden eyes, Julius spoke as he gazed upon it, which stuck out of the ground. Exactly as he stated, within the white expanse stood not a monolith like it had been on the third floor, but it was a sword. Devoid of sheath, the bare sword stood straight, tip placed into the white floor. The way it stood absolutely straight, hilt facing up, was a terrifying beauty that reflected in Subaru's eyes. It was not as if there were gorgeous decorations, nor did Subaru know whether its material was of high quality or not. Only that, in its non-decorative simpleness, in its making of minimal use of steel, there was something beautiful.
From the looks of it, it's supposed to work like a sort of selection?
Yes, you were really patient. Good boy, good boy.
Julius held back his words when he noticed the picturesque scene of Subaru whispering to his sword. Putting aside Anastasia's silent praise for Julius, who was watching, Subaru set his eyes on Shala. She had her arms crossed to emphasize her ample bosom, face brimming with confidence. The kind that read, "You can ask me whatever you want. I'm completely ready to say I have no clue." So Subaru, without having asked a word, was forced to finally step towards the sword.
Subaru?
I think it's fine. It's not a trap that casts instant death on you. If it's anything like the third floor.
Nodding his head to a distressed Amelia, Subaru took a step towards the sword of selection. Of course, Amelia and Beatrice tagged along naturally. The rest remained on standby at the mouth of the stairs, ready to react in case anything happened.
careful about making a getaway road for Anastasia. It's a pretty long way down, so if she trips, she'll keep on rolling till she dies.
I shall keep it in mind. Rather, you ought to be more mindful of Emilia-sama and Beatrice-sama's warnings.
It's okay. I'll protect Subaru.
Alright! I'll let myself be protected!
Watching Subaru flashing a thumbs up to a very enthusiastic Emilia, Julia sighed. After seeing it through, Subaru faced the Sword of Selection in front. A distance where if he just reached out, he could touch it. At that point, the presence of the sword brought out a certain sense of reality. That, like the monolith, there was no mysterious feel to it.
That said, it's a sword that's been stuck here since the tower was built. That there's not even a speck of rust on it is, in itself, pretty weird.
Subaru whispered in front of the Sword of Selection, then took a light breath, breathed out, then stretched his hand towards the handle. Wrapping his fingers neatly around it, he felt it was slightly resisting him, but he still put strength into pulling it up. For a moment, doubt flashed in everyone's minds about whether Subaru would be able to pull it out, if it were truly the Sword of Selection as given its name implied, but the thought turned out to be in vain.
Huh?
Upon applying the slightest bit of strength, the sharp edge that was stuck in the floor came out easily. It truly was as much elegance as the sword could have, as it was thrust out of its sheath. At that immediate moment, it echoed.
Gain his forgiveness by the hand of the fool who has reached the heavenly sword.
A voice that bore through eardrums and resonated directly in their skulls conveyed them the details of the examination. It was an expected turn of events, so he had not done something as unsavory as dropping the sword, but it was, nonetheless, an unpleasant experience. After all, the voice that echoed in his head was very much like his own.
Feels like getting motion sickness. I guess everyone feels that way too.
Did everyone hear, or was it limited to Subaru who had pulled at the sword? Everyone had heard the voice when someone touched the monolith. So, this time too, Subaru turned around, and with that thought, notice. Huh? Everyone's breaths were caught, and they were looking at a single point.
Huh?
Following their line of sight, Subaru also looked. The place they were all looking at was a point further ahead of the Sword of Selection, at a place that, coincidentally, equaled the distance between the sword and the staircase. And at that place, the shadowy silhouette of a person had appeared.
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
A voice that was supposed to be whispering suddenly sounded very loud to Subaru. A voice that repeated the same words he had heard upon pulling out the sword. However, it was nothing like his own voice that had echoed in his head, but undoubtedly was being spoken by the silhouette with a different voice.
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
That voice, as if it were an idiot taught to repeat only one sentence, spun the same words again. Whether the voice seemed mechanical, automatic, or even instinctual could not be determined. The subtle tremble of the voice was apparent in the repetition of those eerie words. The voice of the silhouette was terribly direct, as if an edge of a sword were tickling one's heart. Whether the tremble was from fear, or from passion, or from pleasure, or from grief, could also not be determined. For it to play around with others' emotions so well was proof that there was a distinct gap between it and a living creature. At this distance, from just being a voice, it played with lives.
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
It was a man with simple yet long red hair that flowed down his back. He was quite tall, a full head above Subaru. The man's body was adorned with thick muscles befitting his height. He wore no armor, but a casual crimson kinagashi that tributed nothing in protection. From his right side down to his arm, his chest lay exposed, and his waist was bound with a white sash. His flaming red hair reached up to the middle of his back, and his left eye was covered with a shoddy black eye patch. Finally, the right eye that remained uncovered was a blue reflection of the unreachable heavens. Surely, it was such a well-ordered beauty that it would make everyone and anyone turn around and take a look, a sight fit for a painting. That savage, cruel smile filled with insanity spoiled it all. It was a most exceedingly beautiful, ferocious beast. The most beautiful beast that ever existed in the world, to the point that Subaru forgot to breathe in its presence. The illusion of the stillness of time was broken by a soft whisper. Swiftly, he heard a girl's voice squeak out a "Kya!" At the end of his eyes, he saw the figure of the girl whose black hair reached her backside at his side. Shala dropped to the floor, while Melee's eyes darted around, confused. If anything, Shala was so upset that she could not... If anything, Shala was so upset that she could be incontinent. With her eyes wide open, her face twisted in a way unbefitting a girl as beautiful as her, the depth of the surprise, of the frenzy she felt, was expressed clearly. If it were possible to leave it to her instincts, she would have stormed out of the room. Only her trembling legs did not permit it. The very Shala who had utterly destroyed the centaur creature was stiff with fear?
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
Even with the frightened Shala in sight, the voice continued repeating those words. At first glance, it seemed to be a situation that rose in eeriness levels. However, there was something else he noticed. The man did not move a single step, only ever exerting pressure from where he stood. No, the man did not even try to exert pressure. He simply stood still. Just by being there, his existence gave off the same presence as that of a witch. Holding his breath, he forced his eyelids that had forgotten to blink to close and took a moment to calm down. And then, without taking his eyes off of the man for even a second, Super took a step backward. In his right hand was a sword of selection. In his left hand was Beatrice's hand, held firm. He pulled her stiff form back.
Amelia!
No.
Knowing he could not leave her behind, Subaru called out Amelia's name, knowing she was still petrified. Even so, Amelia nodded in response, her voice quivering. Matching his movements with her shaking knees, Subaru shrunk away slowly.
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
The distance widened. Even so, the man remained unmoving. Only he repeated the same words.
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
He poured his all into his nerves, and finally arrived at where Shala was lying. Shala's face was stiff with fear as usual, and Melee had grabbed onto her arm, unable to move. To take the girls and retreat from this place, would that even be possible? Subaru's hands, both the one that held the sword and the other that held Beatrice's hands, were stiff, with no sign of being able to move them. He could not even imagine being able to force up Shala and Melee by grabbing their arms. In the first place, would that man allow that? What was that man's objective? What was the examination for? For what purpose did the sword have...
Gain his forgiveness by hand of the fool that has reached the heavenly sword.
The words that were being repeated, the phrase, that was the proposal for the second floor Electra's examination. What meaning could there be in the man repeating those words? The contents of the examination he had heard about the moment he pulled out the sword, the man who repeated those words, the fool, the forgiveness, what exactly...
Gain forgiveness. Heavenly sword. Fool.
Huh?
Quickening his thoughts, the feeling that something terrible was going to happen kept rising in Subaru, and at the same time, the man whose voice kept resonating without stop came to a swift halt. Subaru instinctively groaned, a careless act that made Amelia and Beatrice a bit more nervous, but that had no effect on the change taking place. More than that, the changes the man underwent were becoming clearer.
Heavenly sword, fool. His forgiveness.
What's gonna happen?
Stopping was far from it. Rather, there had been a strange string of sounds at the end of the standing man's words, and in the next moment, the man put a hand on his hair, began scratching, and pelted an explosive shout. Unable to stand it, Shala squealed like a pig and leapt to Subaru. Naturally, he could not keep standing. Her arms coiled around him with all her strength, and unable to take evasive action, Subaru tumbled to the floor with her. At that moment of impact, sparks flew in his eyes, while both the man's shout and Shala's incessant crying, who still clung to his waist, pounded his eardrums.
Master, help! I don't want to help me!
What's with you for the past few minutes?
Stop already! My head's killing me as is! Stop shouting!
Ah!
Right before his words of comfort could reach, Shala's spirit crumbled. Despite having been thrashing about for some reason, she quietly stuck to Subaru's waist and stopped moving, and losing her consciousness, she collapsed to the floor.
No way, you...
Shala swiftly and gracefully departed from the battlefront via fainting. Although when it came to conquering the tower, the help to arrive from her, from the examiner's point of view, would be close to nil, this was supposed to be completely unexpected. For a woman whose brute strength deserved a certificate, if nothing else, to be this afraid of this man, things would certainly be precarious. I take it that you are by no means a simple existence. The man groaned in displeasure with the high-pitched sound of a single footstep echoed. With the clack of a pair of his white shoes, stepped forward the finest of knights. Julius twirled around and picked up the sword Subaru had dropped. Watching Julius, the man's lips curved down, a scowl plastered on his face.
Bucks up, you prick! And what's with this place? You fucking around here, you prick?
No, we are doing nothing of the sort. We, too, are of a similarly confused standing. You appeared here all of a sudden. We cannot help but be on guard, is what I would like to convey.
Bucks up, you prick! Don't be talking weird, you prick! Don't you be talking like my follower, you prick! You my follower? You ain't, right? Since you ain't, don't be talking like I'm making all this shit confusing, you prick!
The man's mood kept turning sour each time Julius spoke with an expected respectful yet careful tone. Though it was becoming clearer that the man was human, whether conversation with him could be established was an entirely different topic.
Pretty woman, sexy woman, runt, follower. Small fry.
Unfortunately, I am not your follower.
The way you talk, it's just how my follower talks. Stop copying it.
The man belched out a good-humored laugh at Julius's objection. Unusually white teeth with an oddly handsome face, his shark-like smile, all intermingled, reeked of a strange madness. Finally, a bit of humanity was found within the smiling man. Or rather, finding out that the man was an intelligent being capable of conversation would be more appropriate.
Oh, you! Explain what's happening here, you prick! The hell'd you do to me, you prick? Don't be hiding self, you prick! Get to it, you prick!
Appearing out of nowhere, acting like you're hot shit. What's up with that?
The man thrust his hand into the open part of his bare chest and scratched carelessly. Subaru, who had finally raised his body, squeezed out what words he could muster and spat them at the man. He simply glared at Subaru with his right eye, who was lying on the floor, and...
Bucks up, you prick! Why you sleeping, you prick? Ain't that a real nice place, you prick? Getting a woman that's sexy to be your meat bed, you prick! Hey, switch up with me, you prick!
Sadly, with respect to the person herself, I refuse.
So sorry. Somewhat stopping his shaking feet, Subaru stood. At the same time, he pried his clinging Shala off. It was a careless act that made her fall to the floor face first, but there was no time to consider that. But...
What, you prick? You doing that, you prick? Fucking around, you prick?
The fuck you pulling that rude shit for, you prick?
The man clenched his molars and roared a hearty yet violent laughter. Ignoring Subaru, who was clearly confused, the man looked over the white room and nodded to himself. Oh, righty, and then spoke again.
Gotcha! So then, let's start!
Start? Wait! Why do you keep on running the conversation all by yourself? It's really too much to take!
Zip it, you prick! Keep on yapping over and over. Already explained while sleep talking, didn't I? Pay attention to what I'm saying, you prick.
What's with this for the past few minutes?
Gain his forgiveness by the hand of the fool who has reached the heavenly sword.
Unable to keep up with the situation, Subaru's eyes started around while Amelia repeatedly whispered the sentence, word for word, to herself. Slowly, the girl started depetrifying. Following Subaru and Julius, out came Amelia and Beatrice from the stillness of time, and Anastasia and Melee right afterwards. Only Shala remained unconscious, however.
That body there's different than this small fry. If I'd been alive, I'd be bedding you tonight, you twat. Looking close, you're real sweet, yeah? What's with that face? You're damn smoking, you twat.
Smoking?
You're the guy! You're the examiner here, right?
From looking at Amelia, a lust awakened in his eyes. Putting himself between those two, Subaru stood and pointed at the man. The man smiled like a shark at the statement, and...
No clue. I ain't interested in some title someone's put on me. I'm me area. Nothing more to it. You want to talk to me proper? Get me to move even a step from here, you prick.
They were the words of a man standing defensively, calmly. As for why he had not laughed it off, it was the very condition that needed to be fulfilled to clear the examination. Thus, it was a task worthy of being called as such. Gaining his forgiveness, by the hand of the fool who had reached the heavenly sword. If the man who stood in front were to be this fool who reached the heavenly sword, then the method to get it was clear. What was left was to see if the method was indeed even possible. Belonging to the royal guards of the kingdom of Lagunica, Julius Euculius. Before the fight, nay, the examination began, Julius offered his name as an act of courtesy. It was an act of the greatest honor, declaring the other as their equal, regardless of position or gender. In response, the man's one blue eye narrowed with excitement and brought forth an unusual fighting spirit, and...
Ain't got no name worth giving you, just a mere stick swinger I am.
The Great Library Pleiades, the examination of the second floor Electra. Time limit, no restrictions. Number of attempts, no restrictions. Challengers, no restrictions. Examination, start.
Yay!
Ooh.
Ow, that'd be.
That was...
Oh.
You ready to do another chapter?
This
of
fucking
that?
guy.
This fucking guy.
Oh, God.
This fucking guy.
Isn't he great?
This fucking guy. Oh, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jack of Trades, you prick.
Thank you, Jack Trey.
Ah, you prick.
You prick!
He is something else.
I love how Subaru turns it back on him and he just fucking laughs. He's like, you
He's like,
fucking
"Yeah."
small fry.
Yeah, what a fucking guy.
Oh, look at you. You're so adorable.
Yeah, so cute.
Oh, a little cockroach is talking back to me.
The fucking small fry.
Laying on a meat bed of Shala.
That was crazy. By the way, Chase is sitting on a chair right now in our booth, and he still moves whenever he records. And so every once in a while, you might have heard a bonk. That was him getting excited and pushing his chair back into the desk. I was like, oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
Earthquake!
It's okay.
In fact, my legs feel better. I can move it out the booth.
No, you're fine.
No, I don't want to break the computer desk.
No, you're fine. It's sturdy. It's sturdy. You can sit there while we're talking.
It's just bonking. It's okay.
It's just bonking.
His legs are too
I-
strong.
I'm stimming too much. I have to accept that I need to move the chair out of the booth while we're recording.
Oh my gosh. Great work, everybody.
Yeah!
That chapter was fun.
Yeah.
Get ready for next chapter. Woohoo!
So what I got from this is I need to bring my better mic up from downstairs because my little USB mic does not like the high-pitched Beatrice noises.
Betty, I suppose. It caught most of it. It was just like the ones where you had to go, yeah, right away.
Betty is
Yeah,
disintegrating,
if
I
you
suppose.
if you lead into it with a high noise, the USB is like, nope, that's the no-no sound.
Yeah.
That's a no-no
You gotta get up there. You have to ramp up. The chaos starts
You have to,
low
like-
and gets higher.
That worked.
Revving up like an
Just look
engine.
now every time. He's revving up the car engine.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
So, what did we think of the Stick Swingers introduction?
What a dick.
Thank you, Sam.
Fucking asshole.
Just wait till next chapter. Woohoo!
Oh,
He's even
yeah.
worse.
I love
It
how
only gets
all it
worse.
takes is just his introduction to be like, wow, not only is he fucking scary and weird and insane, he's also like a whole ass actual misogynist and like full on womanizer.
Yeah.
He's like the edgy kid in the COD lobby.
Oh my god. but he actually has the skills to like fucking back it up.
Yeah. But the way he talks,
unfortunately.
is like, hey, I learned this new really bad word. Check it out.
Yeah, my favorite word, prick.
He's like if
Rick.
he's like if a 4chaner like went into the mountains, trained, became a badass, but was still a weirdo.
Yeah. Your fucking shots, you prick.
This is a Giga
I don't
Chad
know
training.
how many people remember the movie Happy Gilmore fully, but there's a character in that
Oh.
who ends every line with "ya jackass." That's what this reminds me of every time.
The 4chan he
Yeah.
dumped everything into strength and dex, but sucked everything out of charisma.
I mean, apparently he left enough
And
points
he's
for
a
Super to
fortune
keep
user, so
calling
doesn't
him
have
handsome.
Quote
Well,
unquote
charisma
handsome.
doesn't necessarily just mean pretty.
Divine
I-
human trash
Stupid.
and
I love
deep
I love the extra detail that oh yeah, this guy is like extremely attractive, and then you see his smile and it ruins everything.
Mhm.
It's like, gee, oh.
He's really.
Hey,
funny,
maybe this
though.
guy is what Regulus was targeting when he said don't smile.
I wonder who his follower is supposed to be here. That like talks like Julius.
True. What sort of prim and proper guy was around to follow this guy? This piece of
Maybe they
Garbage.
weren't actually a follower. They were just like traveling with them or something, but he just assumed it's like, oh, following me. Yes, haha. And it's like,
not that
no.
egoistic.
Yeah. He seems like he would be.
That's true.
I buy it.
Yeah, sounds canon to me.
Yeah, sounds
out.
about right, honestly. Fuck are you following me for, dude? I'm just like, I'm going on a walk.
Dude,
Dude,
I'm
I
literally
don't even know your name. Who are you?
Who are like? I just followed you for maybe this one block because I'm trying to walk to the supermarket. Like, come on.
I'm
man.
just trying to pick
Let
up
me
milk for the
prick.
kids.
We're not following you. We're both in line for the same roller coaster, dude. Come on.
No, he'd blow up the line. That's what he'd do.
Yeah.
The Regulus effect.
Real phenomenon. it's so it's so funny to me as well when like there's been a real like cultural shift towards like you know when someone's like a badass they just have this aura around them like fucking terrifies people around them, and I'm so excited for when this gets animated for people to be like, oh my god, he's got such aura, and then hear the words that come out his mouth and be like, "Wah!"
Yeah.
They're like, oh my god, this guy's aura farming. Oh, dude. Like,
Yes, and
he'll
also
be cool
we
for
must let
6
people
seconds.
know: do not turn his language into a drinking game unless you're taking sips of water.
Yeah, please don't. That's
You will
Hydration
die.
I'm going
station.
to say that so many times.
Yeah, sips of water. We'll condone that, but nothing else.
No, you might die of overhydration, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as long as it's a sip, you'll be okay.
A small sip. Maybe a teaspoon of water
Yeah.
each time he says break.
Just do one push-up. And get ripped instead.
Yeah.
Oh
hey,
yeah, true.
there we
That's
go.
how you reach the heavenly sword. Oh my
When your
god.
arms get tired, switch it to squats.
Switch it to squats, and then when your legs get tired, you switch back.
Yep.
And then when your legs get tired, you switch to eyebrows.
Eyebrows?
No,
yeah,
he's
gotta
got
work those
eyebrows
muscles
doing?
to have the fucking powerful eyebrow maneuvering, bro.
Oh, you gotta hit the fucking rock. Eyebrow lift.
Yeah.
They can operate independently of each other.
They can lift themselves.
Yeah, I don't even need to consciously think about it. They just do it automatically. I tilt my head slightly, and then they know that I need to lift my eyebrow to stare at someone.
And then when it's raining, you have actual window wipers.
What the fuck? Yeah.
This is a complete topic change, but just before we move to the next chapter, I just want to highlight what the scene of everyone pitying Amelia actually meant, because it said everyone except for Julius and Anastasia patted her head, or Julius and Maylee patted her head. That means that Shala and Betty
Shala
both
did.
walked over to her and pat her head when she was being herself.
They're like, "Aw, hun."
Bless your heart.
Poor girl. I counted the stairs. Good for you. Just, I'm sorry.
It's helpful to know.
I do that for the steps in my house just because half the time I can't see them because I'm carrying something.
Really?
So it helps to know how many steps are in certain areas so you know when you reach the bottom.
True.
And whether you can take them by twos or not. Or when
I
you have to
cannot.
stop.
I have an odd number of steps.
Oh no. I never count mine, but I try to remember it in case my glasses fall off so that I could feel my
Yeah, it's
way
like
down the
muscle memory, right?
stairs. Yeah. Thankfully, my house I currently live at is very similar to the house I lived in growing up, so I'm already accustomed to it, so I never trip.
Yeah, if it's not like Japanese house stairs where they're literally half of your foot for each one, then I don't know
You have
if
to
you
go
really
dinosaur
need
mode to get
memorize them.
upstairs.
Yeah, the fucking
Mhm.
dinosaur foot stairs.
Yeah.
Well, we realized
'Cause
everyone
otherwise, I feel
skips
like
every
I'm
other
never-
step anyway, so we just cut out every other step.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's for the long-legged people, though.
What about the children?
The stairs
They
at
don't go
my-
upstairs.
The stairs at my work, whenever there's one set that when you walk on them, it squeaks now. And I'm like, ooh,
Oh, God.
these are going to fall. We need to fix these. It's like you take a step, and I just take a normal step. I don't think I'm that heavy. But, like, it's a... And I'm like, oh, my God. It did not sound like that when I went to school there. So I'm like,
The stairs are judging you.
this
I'm
is...
in danger.
I'm in danger. And it's really loud when students run up and down them, like a horde
Oh,
when they're
yeah.
coming home.
Mm.
So those stairs are just gonna fall apart any day now. They're just like begging to fall.
They want to be put out of their misery, probably.
They were screaming for help.
We're tired. Help!
Please.
They just
give us
wanna
the
go
sweet release
home.
of death.
Low-key, kind of hope I'm on them when they fall so I can cash in that sweet workers' comp. But that's kind of crazy.
Uh-huh.
The
That's
people
kinda
in
crazy.
administration that hope when the people in administration you don't like or something is on them when it happens. Then you're like, oh no, that's so sad.
Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
For legal purposes, I don't condone that.
Don't weep for the stupid, you'll be crying all day.
For karmic purposes, what happens will happen.
Guys, I don't actually mean it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But if it were to happen, I wouldn't be upset necessarily.
Oh my god, I hope none of my students listen to this one.
Mm.
Wow!
Woo!
We're
Are
pointing
we
to the
ready for the next
principal.
chapter?
Ah, ah, ah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Everybody back from bathroom breaks?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
never left. I'm always here.
Oh, do you need to use the restroom?
No, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I swear, we don't chain you to your desk.
No, you don't. Everyone else in the basement, I just can't. Hell.
Get out of the basement, everybody! It's too much to clean.
Hey, that's Owl's bucket! No! No, stop!
It's free rent and board.
Oh my god.
No, you screwed up the food bucket and the poop bucket. Why?
Oh,
It's all mush anyway!
At least he left the food alone.
Yeah.
They're giving you guys food?
Fuck.
You guys get fed?
Skirrow's like, that's why I haven't been here in a
The
while.
rats. The rats, Skura.
Oh
The
no.
rats. They get you food.
I didn't
Talk
know
to
you
them.
guys were vampire
to them.
spawn.
let's not forget they did genuinely keep Melee in the basement with a bucket for for like a year in the
and
story.
with stuffed animals.
Yeah.
She was vibing.
We just have
The
to,
most
you know, live
humane
in the
treatment
basement
she
to get
could
an accurate read on the character.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
precisely. All right, y'all are ready for this one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they called it
Yup.
Down Under for common.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Let's get out of this basement arc. All right, Tail, when
All right,
you're
yeah.
ready.
All right. Arc 6, Chapter 26. Stick Swinger. A woman, a soul woman, existed. The woman's spirit had been violated. The woman lay deep in the abyss of insanity. The woman was standing upon the farthest land of starvation, growling in the solitary castle, gnawing the unoccupied throne, breaking her teeth, ripping up her mouth, starving. The woman had been a human when she was born, but at that point in time, she no longer remained human. It all had begun a few years ago, when the man governing those lands fell victim to an incurable illness. Weakening by the day, the man, frightened of his approaching death, stretched his hands to all kinds of means in order to prolong his life. Before long, he attained techniques which were taboo, and gathered a large number of lives for an outrageous immorality for the purpose of attaining a long life. Abundantly, lives were sacrificed. Abundantly, lives were rendered idle. And among those sacrifices was the woman. Who she was, what her name was, what her birthplace was, who her family was, such memories of hers had already been burnt away. Merely a tool was the woman, a seedbed for the man merely awaiting his death, having been eaten away by the demon of ill health. Idle life only to be wasted. That was how it was supposed to be. Yet the woman survived. A body ruined, power gushing forth, the lamp of a life ostracized by what was called time. The hopes, the dearest wishes of the man trespassed by the demon of ill health, materialized upon the woman's body. The man was delighted at the fruits of his labor, postponing the memorial for those sacrificed, then overbearingly unfastened the woman's constraints. When she came to notice, the woman was alone, in the uninhabited solitary castle, anguishing and suffering from starvation. Thoughts disappear with cruel hunger, memories devoured into a void by violent thirst. She had nothing in her memories. She had nothing within her understanding. Merely her entire body had constraints, so she possessed no freedom either. Eating away all food within the castle, vomiting out the contents of her stomach, chewing and digesting them once again, she continued to repeat. Ultimately, for what remained of her starvation, she bit into the stone walls, crunched the throne, ate the carpets. At that pace, she would starve to death. Her body, which was unable to perish, would starve to death. At the extremity of starvation, unable to obtain trance, the woman finally saw an illusion. Inside the solitary castle, bustling about with willful freedom, was a horde of dogs clad in bestial hair. Even if it was a hallucination, she did not mind. If she was unable to be satiated physically, she desired to satisfy merely her heart. With such wholeheartedness, the woman crawled, devouring the beasts, devoured the beasts, ate them away. She was satisfied. The following instant, she vomited. She licked what had been vomited. She chewed, vomited, ate. In the illusion, in the mirage, in the hallucination, in her desire, there present was taste. There present was formed. She could feel it on her tongue. When she came to notice, the interior of the castle had become a den of repulsive beasts. She was greatly delighted. Buried in days of eating and getting eaten, she was satisfied after she ate, and she vomited after she was satisfied. Stuck between starvation and refusing food, the woman ate and vomited, slurped and spilled. Given birth to by the empty skies. No, given rebirth to, where the beasts with a repulsive presence. Before she noticed, the one's constraints were exposed to the battle for devouring between the beasts and her came loose, and she was freed. Attaining freedom, the woman crawled, exited the castle. The beasts as well, following the woman, exited the castle. Upon the earth, in all directions, they scattered around. Hunger, starvation, unable to endure them, the woman devoured and kept the castle she had grown tired of eating for later. To visit it, when the day of the satisfaction of her hunger and thirst would arrive, the Witch of Gluttony gave birth to the horde of witch beasts and continued to starve from inexhaustible starvation. On the second floor Electra of the Pleiades watchtower, in a room white as chalk, the examination began. The examiner stood in the corner of the room, a man with red hair and the smile of a shark plastered on his face. Introducing himself as naught but a stick swinger, the man's aura overflowed with an unusual sword spirit. The way he appeared was in itself complicated. Even Shala herself, who was the supposed caretaker of the watchtower, had fainted the moment she laid eyes on him. As such, he was obviously no one ordinary. Thus,
I shall, from the first moment, fight at full power.
leaning forward, Julius spoke as he took a step forward. The blade he softly threw towards the man was the same sword of selection that had been stuck into the floor of Electra. The sword spun in the air, flying in an arc, before it stabbed the ground near the man's feet. So the man may simply stretch out his hand to take it.
What are you doing, you prick? Throwing me a sword and all you got a death wish?
Unfortunately, as a knight, it is most shameful an act to swing a sword at one unarmed.
Making me laugh. I ain't empty-handed. Take a closer look, you prick.
The man roared with laughter, teeth bared, at the advancing Julius. And while laughing, he casually raised his foot in the air and gave a wild kick to the sword. The sword of selection gave a shrill wail as it flew off. It screeched inches past Julius, who had lunged towards the man.
I hope you bear no regret for speaking those words.
His thoughtfulness coldly cast aside, Julius's face cheeks stiffened as he swung out his knight sword. The slender blade he raised in a straight line, as a hammer to strike at those insolent enough to disgrace the grounds of a duel. It pierced forward, swift as lightning, but...
Don't be shouting all cutesy there, buffoon. You got a damn nice face. Wouldn't you be troubled if you got off all me crying?
What? Ugh!
With a thunderous boom, the tip stopped before reaching the man's torso. Of course, Julius had not slackened his hand. He always tried to the best of his abilities, regardless of the situation. Thus, it was not him that stopped the blade, but rather the man bearing the smile of a shark.
Impossible.
Gotta believe what you see. It all starts from there, you know.
Cackling with joyous laughter, the stick swinger raised his right hand and scratched his chest. It was the same behavior as before, just like the time he was piling up on a nonsense conversation. However, his left hand pinched the tip of Julius's sword with frightening accuracy. That too, with...
A pair of twigs?
Look here, it's not even close. Why, your eyes bad, someone, you brick? Chopsticks, they're chopsticks. Pretty nice for grabbing stacks, then chopsticks. That's why I keep them on me.
So slender, one had to squint to properly see the pair of wooden chopsticks. The stick swinger held them in his left hand and used them with grace and dexterity, similar to how Subaru knew them to be used, who had reflexively groaned upon seeing them. Chopsticks indeed existed in this world, as he had witnessed and experienced during his stay at Pristella, but to witness one use them with such finesse was a first. No, regardless of the finesse one possessed in their use, to stop the swing of a first-class swordsman using a pair of chopsticks was absolutely an inhuman feat.
Don't be making me laugh, you prick. Swinging at the best angle with the best speed, with the best feeling, in the best way. Be chopsticks or whatever, there's nothing I can't cut.
Rolling his eyes over the awestruck faces, the stick swinger yawned, then spoke with a stab of sarcasm. But while it was normal for everyone to be silent when shown such a spectacle, Julius, the concerned party, could not. He put strength into his arm and pulled to pry away the night sword that remained stuck between the pair of chopsticks. However, no matter how much strength he put in, the sword would not budge.
Let me tell you though, these chopsticks here ain't made out of something funny. That material's just bad for the skin, so got nothing mixed in, just your everyday pair, made for some tree somewhere. Let it out, best be laughing, you prick. Whoever's laughing more was more of a looker. Not that it matters, you being a guy.
Suddenly, the block he felt at the tip of his sword was gone, leaving Julius bewildered. In that instant, the man turned his body and leapt into the air with his 2 bare feet. With tremendous force, he landed a kick right above Julius's slender waist, sending him flying.
Julius!
Subaru did not know who raised their voice in a scream, but they had no choice but to watch his flight, as everyone had to put in much more thought before making any kind of sudden movement. And now, following him as he soared across the air, unable to fix his posture, the stick swinger's figure shot off like a bullet, chasing right after Julius. With unbelievable physical prowess, he stopped right above Julius and, taking a stance with a chopstick in each hand, released a flurry of slashes aimed at Julius. Whether they could be called slashes was up for debate, but regardless, the man unleashed a violent flurry of strikes with the chopsticks. With movements so fast, each separate strike seemed to disappear. It appeared the same way to everyone, and Julius was already helpless midair, so he had no way of dodging. With his knight's sword as his only ally, Julius met each chopstick slash with his own. However, the chopsticks slipped past, as if sneering, and stabbed into Julius again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
Gerald!
A ray of heat shot across the air, aimed towards the engaged duo. White light, in its most simple form, could rip through the world with its dreadful edge. In other words, it could become an invisible blade that tore, cut, and burnt through everything in its path. It went straight, and was as such easy to dodge. However, the shimmering rays traveled at the speed of light, crashing straight into its target. Even so, the stick swinger cut away the rays of light fired by the third party with ease.
My sword can cut even light, you twat.
Faster than his own gruff voice's echo, the chopstick struck and sliced through the ray of light. An impossible spectacle that pulled in the attention of everyone present. Only the man sneered, as if he had done something ordinary, and continued jabbing at Julius with his free hand. As if making light of him. No, the truth was, he indeed was making very light of him.
Gerald!
In response to that, his eyes turned red, overlapping with the chant. With both arms spread wide, chanting for the magic that shot rays of heat, her graceful composure painted with panic, was Anastasia. Hands open, all fingers poised. 10 fingers in total shot out 10 rays of death simultaneously, all danced in the air as they approached the stick swinger. And the stick swinger himself took just as an amazing measure. The stick swinger faced the dancing beams head-on and sliced through them with his chopsticks, just like before. Then he pounced up by kicking off of thin air and made a nosedive, taking Julius, who was right below, along with him, dragging him across the white floor as he ran. Julius was pinned by the chopsticks in his solar plexus.
Well, you twat. Can't even swat a fly like that, you twat. They don't call me the lady killer for nothing, you twat.
Gerald! Gerald! Gerald!
Anastasia still chose to continue her attacks against the cackling man. Unfortunately, regardless of its firepower, if the magic did not hit, there was no meaning to it. Even with her firing them all over, the man simply cut through, at times ducked, and at times made a sharp spin by pulling his weight on Julius. His overwhelming physical and battle prowess in full display clashed against Anastasia's clearly poor aim. In this case, technically it was not Anastasia whose aim was poor, but Echidna's, who was currently inhabiting that body. Despite wishing to aid Julius with a surprise magic attack, her actions severely failed her intentions, leaving her unable to even get a scratch in. Soon,
Ah!
her time, it would seem, would run out first. The stick swinger, who was gleefully dodging the heat rays, stopped and raised his eyebrows when the rays halted their pursuit. At the end of his gaze was Anastasia, whose delicate body had collapsed to the ground. Blood flowed from her nostrils, a sign that she had overworked her own body. She had stated it herself earlier. She could not rely on her trump card, as it would shave away her own life.
Anastasia-sama!
Hello?
The knight's vigor instilled by the sight of his falling master, Julius broke free of his defense-only stance, free from being slid around on his back, free from the relentless blows of the chopsticks of the stick swinger. He had taken off the button near his chest and flung away his royal guard's mantle, forcing the direction of friction to change, allowing him to get out of the cycle. From his position on the floor, he aimed a circular kick at the man's head, cursing his own foolishness. The man moved his chin away slightly, escaping the blow, but Julius repeated his kicks 2 more times like a breakdance. After a few rounds of kicking and dodging, he stood back up.
Ah, you really pulled a good one, you prick. Felt that good, you prick.
I do not have time for your nonsense. Move it!
Their absolute difference in ability was something Julius understood too well, yet still roared at him. His knight's sword, even after the countless blows he had taken, had not left his hand. So the sword flew, slithering through the air in a show of swordsmanship of the utmost grace and elegance, even while being worn down with righteous cause and a sense of duty. It may have been the finest display of a knight's swordsmanship. A countless number of days, of months must have been spent, shed tears and blood training to refine his technique. And yet...
Playing with me, you prick. You playing me, you prick. Don't be going light on me, you prick. What's this? Don't make me laugh, you prick. Don't be holding back. Give me all you got, you prick. Are you serious about this? If this is all you got, man, what a letdown, you prick.
His thrusts were stopped, slashed, blown away, barrages shot down, and his one-shots parried. The technique Julius had built up, his own essence of a knight, were all denied by the swaying pair of frightfully beautiful, violent, and powerful chopsticks, wielded by a man who kept yawning, who named himself only as a mere stick swinger. Half his life was being trampled over by a pair of measly twigs.
It ain't usually like this, you prick. Why is you fighting all lonesome? That ain't how you fight, is it, prick? You ain't used to it. That's why this all bores me, you prick.
I am...
If you want to tend to your girl, I'll let you. Borrow a pair of them thick thighs and get babied, you ugly failure of a swordsman.
That which flashed across Julius's face, was it wrath, pain, regret, despair? In any case, one can never truly know what lies within others. Julius's sword flashed, his thin knight's sword, as it did likely millions of times before, tracing across the air. Anyone watching, even from the sidelines with untrained eyes, could tell it was a swing full of faults. The chopsticks dove into the flash from the side. In the next moment, sailing through the air, the wood tore through the steel of the knight's sword. With a faint cry, Julius's knight's sword snapped in two. His yellow eyes could only widen and follow the sight of his beloved sword's tip. Sorry. His yellow eyes could only widen and follow the sight of his beloved sword's tip as it spun across the air. How long had he been using that sword? What history did he share with it? None knew. Only what broke had not been limited to his sword.
Officer.
Accompanying the spat-out words were giant fists thrown at his face. It was the most unrefined and primitive kind of violence, a violence that was prevalent from a time long before man had any kind of tools that utilized one's own flesh. The merciless strike broke Julius's elegant profile. The blow took his consciousness and sent his body flying across the room, where it followed the laws of inertia and crashed, rolled, and finally remained still, body splayed across like a broken doll, right beside Anastasia. Like master, like servant, the unconscious duo had been lined up. It was the beastly man's misplaced sense of consideration.
Well, next up.
Snapping his neck like he had just finished warming up, the man turned to them. In truth, it was a warm-up for him. In only a few tens of seconds, Julius had dashed across the battlefield, got beaten in a one-sided fight. Anastasia tried to help, but the two ended up only collapsing together. Within that time, Subaru had not a single chance to cut in, and could only stand and watch. And just like him, there stood still...
Ice brand arts. Icicle line.
Absolutely none. As if to prove it, white particles danced around her. Pale blue specks of light, barely noticeable in that they were actually fragments of ice, birthed by Amelia's absolute magic, a boundary of ice and snow. Icicle line.
I want to ask one thing before we start.
Mixing her own magic energy with the mana of her surroundings, she put up a kind of barrier with the man in its center as he scratched the place above his eye patch, then called out to him.
Let me hear, smoking hottie.
I'm Amelia. Just Amelia. Wasn't the condition to make you take just one step? You ran around a lot just now, though.
After giving her name, she asked a natural question. Before the fight started, the stick swinger had indeed stated that, while laughing, "Let's see you get me to move even one step." If that were to be taken as the condition, then it had obviously been broken. To say they had been flying across and all over the room during Julius's fight would be grossly understating everything. However, the man shrugged and spoke.
Oi! Don't be taking that stuff seriously, you twat. Just make it up on the spot. It happens, right? You want to look cool from time to time, right? It's like that, you twat. Get it? You know? Well, you being a woman and all, being a smoking honey and all. Be with me tonight, you twat.
Sorry. I've got no idea what you're talking about. Besides, I don't think I can win, even if I fight you.
Amelia?
With magic ready at hand, her posture saying she was completely ready to fight, Amelia boldly proclaimed her powerlessness. The stick swinger's eyes widened at that remark, and Subaru, who was standing stiff, blurted out something. Amelia responded to him with a small, "Really sorry," then turned back to the man.
You're really strong. I can see that. But we have to pass this examination. So please, give us a way to win. If we manage to make you move even one step, it's our win. Let's base our match on that, can't we?
She lowered her brows, then asked the silent man. At the end, she added something with a little bit more confidence, which stunned Subaru. It was an absolutely ridiculous proposition, one only the greatest of idiots would accept. The stick swinger had remained silent for a good moment after hearing that flimsy proposal. But then... he bared his teeth in laughter, then looked at Amelia through his bright blue eyes. Those eyes washed over her frame, as if licking her from head to toe. And then...
Real fine stuff you made of. Can't see I hate it, you twat. Showed lots of guts saying all that to someone like me. Biggest idiot since... biggest idiot I've seen since Trisha, you twat, and I'm taking a liking to you.
So, I've passed the examination?
I ain't gonna treat you that much, you twat. I already showed off in front of a nice lady. Gotta keep it up. Gonna turn in my grave if I step down here. I'll make it as you want.
All passive.
You win if you can make me move even a single step.
The stick swinger, with a softened expression, called out to the crestfallen Amelia, who immediately looked up and nodded, then turned to Subaru.
I'm leaving Anastasia and Julius to you. Please tend to them.
Time! You saw what happened just now, right? Going in without a plan.
It's okay. He doesn't seem like he's aiming to kill. And I'll give him my everything, too.
Brimming with confidence, Amelia cut off Subaru's attempt to stop her and took a step forward. And then, while still wearing her dignified look, raised both her hands towards the stick swinger. With that much distance put between them, she could one-sidedly snipe him with her magic.
With a face that odd, you're pretty stubborn, you twat.
Do what you can the best you can, is what I've learned from my great knight.
Even in such a disadvantageous situation, the man simply folded his giant arms and laughed fiercely. With her sights set on the man's smile, Amelia put some force into her words. Right away, the air popped and snapped, and droplets of pale light fluttered about, then formed into weapons of ice, one after another. Swords, lances, spears, axes, arrows, and many, many more weapons formed. Ice brand arts, icicle line. A technique that used the giant reserves of magical energy inside Amelia to create a limited area boundary of destruction. A special technique forged through Subaru's otherworldly inventiveness had been activated.
Hiya!
She raised her voice in a war cry, but it had no effect on the man. Accompanying her cry, the weapons that had their tips pointed towards the stick swinger shot off from all directions at the same time. Multiple weapons that struck even from one's blind spots. It was indeed an unblockable attack. Faced with this, the man once again took one chopstick in each hand and released a raging flurry of strikes, starting with the tyranny of chopsticks. Art unfolded in the spectacle of a single man ripping through ice. Following Amelia's instructions, Subaru dashed to where lay Julius and Anastasia, checked their condition, and sighed in relief upon the realization that they were merely unconscious. Anastasia's case was, as Echidna had worried, likely to be the result of her forcibly using magic by shaving off her life force. While not completely in the clear, her nosebleed had stopped, and she seemed to have simply fainted. As for Julius, even though he had been assaulted by Chopstick Fu, which had likely hurt, he retained no more than a few bruises to his body. If he were to, say, have been struck 100 times, if it were sword and not chopsticks, he would have died 100 times over. But he was likely shown consideration, so the end result was by no means a minus. Both of them are doing well, I suppose, but...
I know.
Beatrice, who had come beside Subaru to check on their well-being as well, was cut off. They were done checking the duo's condition. As for the beast that did this in the first place, Amelia was busy clashing with it head-on. Ice sprayed and shattered, and the overjoyed man crushed their fragments under his teeth while swinging his chopsticks. With just that one swing, a hatchet and sword of ice that had come bearing down on him at the same time were cleaved right in twain. The shattered weapons of ice turned into bubbles of pale light, which fell and scattered around the raging wild man, a fantastical spectacle that repeated itself endlessly. However, even while doing so...
He won't budge.
Started with flashing my cool side, so let me keep being my coolest to the end. How boring can you get, you prick?
Upon hearing Subaru's groan, the stick swinger began humming some sort of tune while intercepting the many ice weapons. Even then, while his upper body swung like he was doing some kind of tempestuous dance, his feet remained cemented in the ground, like a pair of immovable mountains. Against someone like that, even firing off magic like a hailstorm was doing little. That sense of frustration not only festered in Subaru, who had a bird's eye view of the fight, but also in Amelia, who was directly involved in it. So, to break this stalemate, Amelia stepped in.
Yeah!
Silver hair fluttering in the air behind her slender body, Amelia pounced into battle. Raising both her arms, she grasped the hilt of a great battle axe. She turned herself full circle and brought it down straight toward the man's head. The man casually thrust up his chopsticks to intercept its trajectory. The chopstick only slightly changed the falling battle axe's trajectory, but the discrepancy grew in size as it fell, the edge finally managing to graze past his Kinegashi's sleeve and pierced into the ground. The violent blow raised a blast of wind, and unable to withstand the shock of its own power, the battle axe of ice shattered into millions of fragments. However, she let go of the handle and immediately took in hand a lance that was being launched from behind her, then turned her body a full circle to land her next attack. The thrust of a lance, the flash of twin swords, the swing of a long sword, the slash of a katana, the smash of a hatchet, all in any forms of attacking, were all meaningless when pit against this man. Of course, Amelia was not lacking in any skill. Physical strength was in no way lacking, and the ice brand arts was, as Subaru would usually say, even though he had been the one to come up with it, the one and only one technique that brought out the best of her abilities, utilizing both her physical prowess and enormous magical reserve to the greatest effect. Subaru! Beatrice gripped his hand tightly. This grip filled Subaru with much-needed composure, but he continued to desperately strain his eyes at the battlefield. He could not find a single chance to break into the fight. Amelia was fighting up to that extent, where she kept swapping between weapons she was good with, always playing to her strengths, continuing her physical attacks, as well as firing off her storm of magic. The center was indeed a point which was constantly carpet-bombed. And the man who stood at the dead center of that, dealing with everything without taking even a single step, the monster who had named himself as nothing more than a mere stick swinger, was a complete abnormality. If he carelessly dove in, Subaru may only prove to be a distraction to Amelia. He could not deny that. He could do nothing to remove his anxiety. Beatrice, who held his hand, too stood in silence, fully understanding that she was the same, in being able to do nothing but watch over the battle with clenched teeth. Could the situation improve before Amelia's stamina ran out? Just then, an unexpected change occurred in the situation. That too, suddenly.
Ha! Yeah! Ta-da!
Both her hands grasped a pair of swords and swung them from both sides, aimed at his neck to decapitate. The man quickly lowered his head to avoid the blow, while both swords slipped out of Amelia's hand and flew away. But Amelia immediately created another pair in her palms and swung her crossed arms outward. The man dodged in a much fancier style, leaning so much that his body went parallel to the floor.
Yeah.
Huh?
Knees bent, body almost touching the floor, the man held this position with the inhuman strength of his ankles. On the other hand, Amelia lost her own momentum, letting her arms fly through nothing, leaving herself wide open and with a step in front, leaning back. This was the first big, even life-threatening mistake Amelia had made in this fight. The man might have seen even more, but this moment must have been the biggest chance he had seen. Right then, the man straightened his bent knees, popping back into position. Amelia was left off guard and bit her molars. In that moment, the man bared his teeth the most he had, then leaned forward with a shark-like smile.
You're wide open.
Using the chopsticks at hand, he brushed over Amelia's twin peaks in a scooping motion. Amelia was dressed in her usual white outfit, where parts of her white and smooth skin were visible. The chopsticks streaked over her chest, making her abundant swelling bob about obscenely, which made the man's vile smile deepen. The man groaned in satisfaction as the results of his obscene act.
Oh, good stuff. Oh, real good stuff. But don't be getting mad over something so small.
Tora!
Her hands crossed together above head, encased in gloves fashioned from ice, came down on the man's head, who was busy ogling her with a vile smile. The power of the blow was such that the ice shattered, the sound of its hard impact resonating. The man yelled in pain, then dropped to the floor with his head held and began rolling around.
Oh, God, it hurts, damn it! Oh, what the hell are you thinking, you twat? Usually I was gonna hesitate if someone does that, but you didn't even blink. Fuck's with you?
But you just touched my body, right? Plus, you were completely off guard.
Don't fuck around. The fuck's with your upbringing? The fuck were your parents doing?
Bing his beaten head, the stick swinger sat on the ground with his legs crossed, shouting out his complaints. Amelia blinked in surprise at his shout, then touched the part of her chest where the chopsticks had brushed past.
Did I say something strange?
Oh, boy. Do something about this smoking, honey. Get her walking out or something. Small fry, you're supposed to be attending to her. Make something of yourself. Do it proper. Oh, it hurts. God damn it.
I'm in no place to be taking this from you. That aside.
Despite being overwhelmed, Subaru somewhat managed to talk back to the raging man. Once he managed to swallow his own anger at how the man stretched out an obscene hand towards Amelia, he pointed to him and spoke.
To hell with just one step! You moved a whole lot away.
It's true! I did it! I won!
His mouth shut when Subaru pointed it out, and in exchange, Amelia started jumping up and down. And in accordance to her feelings, flowers of ice began blooming in her immediate surroundings, as if to celebrate her own victory. The man had declared it himself, that the condition was to make him move even a step from where he stood, which had been achieved. That fact was as clear as day to everyone. Unless the man had made things harder, it would be accepted.
Well, how about it?
He felt bad for Amelia, who was celebrating her own victory over the examination. But Subaru did not fully trust the man. From all the exchanges they had, to expect sportsmanship from him was difficult. To invalidate his loss, declare the last examination as void, and rush them with everything he had would not be too unlikely. A single drop of sweat rolled down Subaru's brows and across his cheeks.
No helping it. My word's my word. This kind of defeat make me a laughing stock. Let your soul be damned, but I ain't got a choice.
You'll approve?
You prick, the fuck you thinking of me? If I ain't keep my word here, all my posing cool, it's gonna get shot, you prick. You're gonna flip everything I worked on over, you prick. Ain't gonna be able to take a step towards woman no more, you prick.
Yeah, no. With the way you lost right now, your worth was already at rock bottom.
Shut it, small fry. Heck, you ain't even worth a proper fish. You're just a tadpole. Don't be throwing around weight, tadpole. Anyway, that smoking toddy over there wins. You get a pass. That's the condition. No helping it.
Scratching his head violently, the stick swinger admitted his defeat. While it had spiraled into a situation where it was hard to tell whether those actions were sportsmanlike or unbecoming, Subaru had no intention of prying further into those matters, not when the announcement had already been made. Although both Julius and Anastasia lay fallen as victims of battle against the man, they would likely bounce right back up if left to recover in the green room. Despite being the second examination, It seemed to be too small an obstacle, but
Well, who's gonna be next? The tadpole, or is it gonna be one of them brats?
Huh?
they could advance upward. Subaru, who had been caught up by that thought, became guarded once more at the man's words. The man slowly stood back up at that response, left shoulder covered by cloth. He bared it as well to match his right shoulder and turned to them. The air flooded with a burnt stench. It surged from the man's unimaginable sword spirit, a dramatic change that made everything from before seem like child's play. Subaru noticed too late.
There's around 7 people in this tower. Your girl's the only one to get past. Well, who's up to get past me next? Tell me, you prick.
The Great Library Pleiades. The examination of the second floor Electra. Time limit, no restrictions. Number of attempts, no restrictions. Challengers, no restrictions. Has cleared, Emilia. To be clear, Subaru, Beatrice, Julius, Anastasia, Meili, Ram. Examination continues.
Woo!
Yay.
Amazing job, Al. How was your throat doing?
Thank you. Oh, actually, it's better than expected. I think all the fucking Groovely and Gauze auditions.
I did hear a bit of the fucking Gaza now. I won't lie.
Oh,
Not in a
yeah,
bad way, but like
it's for the good
I felt
for
you
it.
channeling it. I felt you channeling it.
Yeah, it's loud guy. I got it.
Loud guy.
Loud guy, engage!
What a
So-
way to win.
The stick swinger is like the worst.
At least Amelia doesn't understand.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, easy win. Let's go.
Like, all he did was touch my chest. That's no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal at all.
I love how he also points out though, that, what the fuck were your parents doing?
Why don't you understand?
Wrong with
Wait,
you that you're
exactly.
okay with this?
It's the audacity for him to be mad that
You're taking the
on
fun
her
out of it.
behalf. I'm offended
It's really
for
funny
you.
that he agrees that Puck is a horrible parent, but just like in a different way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it like
What?
if even he can come to the conclusion that fuck your parents were shit, like you know Puck is bad, but like it's on a whole nother level.
Poor
God.
Amelia.
Anyone who stands Puck, I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't.
Hit Puck in the head with mallets. with
We hate
iron
Puck in
mallets,
this
not with ice
household.
mallets.
Puck certified haters.
Certified puck haters.
Almost as much as
Oh,
Wolverine.
I can't wait for him to get back so we get punched in the face.
Fuck
Yes! I mean,
Poopy.
he's gone off to buy milk. Like, what the fuck?
He has
Yeah.
to. He
His
has to.
rock has
Milk
been
and
fixed
smokes.
for arcs now, and he hasn't come back out.
Exactly. He's just like, I'm gonna go take a nap.
Like, no, well, that one market was closed. I had to go to the other market.
The local grocery store was closed, so I had to go to the one across the country. And I'm walking.
Yeah.
there.
Across the Great Waterfall.
Pretty much.
That's the Great Water.
Spawns in at the
maybe
con-
Puck
I
was
had to go to Japan.
isekai.
It spawns in at the convenience store that Subaru got isekai from.
Oh my god.
I finally made it.
Well, luckily, there's no mana in Japan, so theoretically, he doesn't.
We're sorry, sir.
obliterate
We're going
everyone.
to need some ID if you wish to purchase these cigarettes.
Damn.
I'd imagine the issue would not be the ID, but the fact that it is a floating talking cat.
They just think he's a furry.
Oh, okay.
If I saw
Wait, wait,
Florida
wait.
Cat trying to order something, as long as he had money, I wouldn't even question it.
Thanks for the money, cat.
I mean,
Do you have like a $10 bill?
like, if he's a good, hardworking taxpayer, I don't care what he looks like, you know.
Oh, Puck doesn't pay taxes.
Your money-
though. You know, sure as
Yeah.
fuck. Puck.
Fascinator.
Bro dodges them so hard.
Yeah.
He's
that
the one
guy.
who
Ooh.
has all those scam call centers. He sets them up.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just to fund
Yeah.
Amelia's life.
He studies tax law just so he knows how to avoid it.
He's really smart just so that he can get around, doing societal responsibilities. He knows everything so that he can fiddle around the rules. I see.
Puck is so real.
Like
for
he
that,
he
honestly.
he evades court orders. He evades taxes.
Never done jury
This
duty.
guy.
Child payments.
Yeah, never done jury duty. Absentee father.
I love that for him.
So, the stick swinger's kind of interesting in the way he fights. We've never seen a character like this before, really, like fully.
I mean, not really. Yeah.
It's just
Exactly.
kind of like because it doesn't eat like, at least from the impression, like it's not even like he's even saying, yeah, I'm not using anything special. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just doing it the perfect way. And it just kind of makes you think, wait, so if someone gets proficient enough at fighting, they can do it in such a way as to where it kind of almost breaks the laws of reality.
Yeah.
If you can't move in any direction, then you can't actually perform the attack, which is what he's doing with the sticks. He's stopping everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Because
grabbing
he's
it,
keeping you
essentially.
focused on where he wants you.
Hmm.
It's an insane level of skill.
It is. Mickey,
At this-
they tried, actually. Rom and Frederica tried to explain things to her, and they couldn't bring themselves to do it. She was too sweet and innocent during the conversation.
They kind of just gave up, eh?
Yep, they gave up.
So when you kiss, it actually doesn't make a baby. But I thought that was supposed to.
Then
But-
how are
but-
babies made?
But
Um,
how do they happen then?
That's the part she doesn't know yet. She does understand that kissing is fine.
Yeah. Oh my god. Poor
Oh,
Ramen.
Amelia.
I
This
just
is why they
knew
have
that
to get Rem back.
was trying to explain and went, oh, I can't do this.
Rem is probably the most appropriate
Oh my
person
God,
to
dude.
teach sex ed in the Amelia camp.
Rem will teach by example.
Oh.
Man, that's crazy.
that was insane.
That's the last if I want to read.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Both of you, pipe it down!
That's crazy.
Now, another thing I want to mention here is Julius got destroyed in seconds, and I mean that physically and also mentally. We just saw him mind break.
Oh,
He broke his sword. What is he gonna do?
By
My knee and lose my...
isn't out yet.
yeah.
We've
Bro,
heard it
like,
before.
Mid-fighting was like, yeah. Anyways, this guy's kind of ass. Are you gonna like fight me or?
Also him being like, oh yeah, that smoking hot hottie, you get to pass. You guys, what can you guys do? I'm excited to figure it
Yeah,
out.
who's next?
Next.
Next, guys.
And
Ow, my God.
so
Anyways,
not only is
next-
Stick Swinger the worst, but retroactively, Flugel was also the worst for setting this up. Because who the fuck? Why?
Like, why would you put this guy as a level? Like,
This
what-
guy.
what's the point? Why this guy?
Even Shala lost her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shawla
He passed out in
toasted that
fear.
fucking centaur.
Yeah, and then when she sees this guy, no, she doesn't. She just hears him and you go gulp.
Mm-hmm.
Chilled. They're not common, but they are a known thing that exists, specifically like in and around Kawaragi area. They just aren't in
They're not a very common use.
the east. Yeah, I think they used them
Yeah.
in season 2 or season 3 briefly for
For
one of
the
things,
inn,
but
right? Yeah.
for the end.
Next stream.
Or
I'm
wife
pretty sure there was a
girl,
moment where
sexual
Wilhelm was
assault.
struggling with them.
No, I think that was just the spatula. He was like
Just a
flipping-
spatula? Yeah.
yeah, the I love you
yeah.
yaki that they were making.
Yeah.
Oh,
Daisuke
yeah.
Yaki.
Tatsukiyaki. But that's still so goofy.
I guess the other big thing to talk about is we got 2 new witch backstories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that are both removed from canon.
Yep. It just no longer exists.
Well, it's a shame.
Do you think Depay
Like,
like
the
just
stuff
got very
that goes on
excited because it's like, ooh, hit time to drop some lore, and then he thinks, and then he finishes the arc, he's like, wait, fuck! I revealed my hand! Wait, no, that's not how it should have gone because it doesn't work like this. Ah!
Never mind. Forget you saw that.
I think it's just that he had to revoke Minerva specifically, and if he only revokes one of them, then that's more suspicious than revoking all of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because he only keeps one in the light novel, right?
Yeah, the one that we actually watched Subaru read.
Through Subaru read, yeah.
Yeah. The others just showing up is kind of also kind of funny. Like, out of context. It's just, all right, fight. Julius getting his ass whooped. All right, next chapter. So now we're gonna be talking about the Witch of Gluttony. Okay, fight. Like the pacing is kind of weird.
It is a weird pacing structure, I will say. It also, I think, the motivation could also be like extending the length of the chapters because this was only like 18 pages on our doc. This particular chapter, and that intro was like what, 2 and a bit.
He experiments with something similar at the beginning of Arc 7, and then that gets dropped to 2. I think he probably has stuff like that already written and just looking for places to put it.
Yeah. I mean, that's him all the time. Bro makes side stories on the side stories.
The fucking side stories, the Penshu side stories. Oh, untranslated. Those will always curse my brain. I will never know what happens in those. And it does not tickle my fancy. In fact, it does the opposite.
Just learn Japanese.
True.
Then you can read the original. And you can read it as it comes out. You don't have to wait for translation.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, but then you lose out on the you pricks and you twats. And
the
you
fun
get
localizations.
You get you know instead.
He only says you know in Japanese?
It's something close to that. I think he just says you, actually. I'm not
Yeah,
positive
that's
about
exactly what he kind of says, from what I remember.
Mm.
And the reason I know that is because back in the day when this was originally getting translated, I believe that's how it was presented.
Makes sense.
And the actual, like, cultural translation would be more so you prick. I see, okay.
Just more accurate to his characterization, I think.
It's probably closer to, like, man, dude, bro, guy.
Bruv.
Yeah, that isn't too wrong.
Dude, what's with that smoking hottie, bro?
He's like a frat guy.
Or it's just
Pretty
like,
much.
let's go, fuckers!
Like, this guy just wants to go and eat, fucking kill, and then he's happy.
Man only needs 3 things. Eat, fuck, kill people.
Six swinger,
happy.
the hierarchy of needs. Wait till Ed gets his hands
first
on him.
Eat, then fuck. Then kill. A guy. What a douche.
But yeah,
This fucking guy.
Julius got bodied, and
He got pieced.
kind of worried about him.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just the world's forgotten him, and he's lost the only thing he thought he was still good at.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not only that, he's lost a sword, which probably has a lot of value to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the few things that he still had left over, because I'd imagine all the stuff that that he had kind of is in a state of limbo right now, given the fact that he got erased from everyone's memories. It was just like, hey, can I go get my other stuff? Wait, that's your stuff? I thought that was mine.
Go, we donated that months ago. We don't know why it was here. It was just sitting around.
Like the 10 swords, like, why were there just 10 swords laying around? Yeah, we sent that off to charity.
Also, it's interesting that not Anastasia is just sacking Anastasia's life over and over for Julius's sake here.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Just spamming an attack.
Well, before, I think the idea is she thinks lives are at stake because, like, the stick swinger isn't, like, showing that he's not going to kill them, right? So...
Yeah, he hasn't actually knocked anyone out yet.
Yeah, so when... and he only knocks Julius out after Echidna in Anastasia burns too much of her ode and like drops. So it kind of adds that thing of I think in her head she was like, our lives are at stake. This guy is insanely strong. I just need to go all out because if I don't, we're all dead.
Yeah. And then it just turns out that it was a waste.
Not knowing that this guy is an absolute meathead and is this is my prediction here that I'm making. The only reason he is doing this and letting them live is because it would be more entertaining if they stay around because he could potentially fight more.
Especially being bored for so long.
Was he
I mean,
even like
he was kind of just
conscious or aware?
I think it almost seemed like he spawned in when they pulled out the sword, eh?
He spawned in like an Elden Ring boss.
Why do I hear boss music?
That's the aura that it's like. He literally said that he was exuding aura in this.
Yep. I guess his phase 1 is just stick swinger mode.
Yeah, and then eventually when you
goes beyond?
piss him off enough, he actually pulls out a toothpick instead of
But then he flings it or something.
Pokes you in the eye
and he
with
flicks
it.
it really hard, and it's just hell snipe.
Oh my god.
Amelia glitched the boss door though.
Yeah, she did.
Subaru's
Subaru's still soul level 1 though. I think he's gonna have a bit of a problem with this fight.
Always.
Yeah, he might be underleveled. He's been relying on his party to carry him, and now it's like a solo fight.
He's
like,
done what they
specifically 1v1s.
He's done what they do in Elden Ring, where you if you're struggling, you just summon spirit, summon a fucking helpful ally, and then just watch them fight for you.
Even wait, I am a glass cannon magic user. I summon help straight off the bat.
Just
Meat
launch the
shield, go!
Kamehameha attack.
Kamehameha!
Go, meat shield!
Rings the bell. Reinhard shows up.
Hey, look, Kristoff's my goat.
Ayo.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if
The only
Subaru could
time I
ring a
don't
bell...
use them, the only time I don't use them is when I'm fighting Melania. Then I need Tish.
Yeah, Kristoff will. Anyone else will basically just feed Melania.
Yeah, I need Tish to be distracting, but also not touchy.
I feel like if Subaru could summon Reinhard right now, he'd be like ringing that bell constantly. Like,
Absolutely, just hamming on.
Yeah, he'd be like shaking it with both hands, staring at it like, ah, Reinhard! Reinhard!
Come here.
Wasn't there a Q&A where to face if Reinhard was here, it'd get a lot worse because Reed would actually start like going all out.
Yeah, he would actually try.
Well, yeah, if he finds an opponent who is quote unquote worthy, I think he's gonna be a lot more dangerous.
Like he's sandbagging essentially is what
yes,
he's doing right now.
Exactly. This is literally, as it says in the chapter, this is him like stretching or doing like a pre-workout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like getting up out of bed.
Pretty much.
This is the equivalent to him of us like putting our socks on or something.
Yeah.
Now, question for y'all is: do you think Al could have gotten past him?
Me? Oh yeah, definitely, sure.
He's the new guard to your basement. You go back next week.
No. Oh.
You get a whole week's vacation. Isn't that great?
Yeah, a whole week. Man, I'm gonna be back at the dungeons. In 1 year, I'll be ready to voice Melee.
Hey, nice.
Hey! Back up!
Colin's like, know your place, bitch!
No.
I've been in these dungeons for longer.
Seniority. That's probably a good time to call it, though. We're getting a little...
We're getting a bit kooky.
Off track. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Last time I'm going to plug this, and I will never plug it again. If you want to help out my classroom, I'm missing, I think it's like 8 copies of Sunrise on the Reaping. I left a little link in the top if you guys don't mind helping, if you're able to. Help with a book. I appreciate it. No pressure, of course. I'm just going to buy the ones that we don't yet. So, if you help me out, I appreciate you so much. And we have our auditions going till June 27th, 2025 at 3 p.m. EST. So if you want to join us in this crazy live recording session, audition for any of our 45 plus characters we got ready for you. You can check that video out. It is on our channel. Thank you all so much for being here. We will see you guys on Wednesday with the next 2 chapters.
Bye-bye, everyone!
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.